Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, if we can please kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices, or please place them on silent. Thank you.
With this affirmation, Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, blessed be the judge of truth on our lips, and with sadness in our hearts, we come together this morning to remember Mindy with love and to share with her family our sincere sympathy and condolences on their profound loss. I know that the presence of so many people here today who love them and who love Mindy brings them a great deal of support and comfort as they face this difficult time. We're going to begin the service with a selection from the book of Psalms. Psalm 121 is a prayer in which we ask God to guard our soul in our going out and in our coming in. And we recite it today as a prayer that God will guard Mindy's soul now that she goes out of our presence and comes in to God's eternal and everlasting presence. I'm going to chant a few of the original verses in Hebrew, and then I'll read a version of the psalm in English. Shir lamahalot, esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh Shamayim evaretz, al yitein lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha, hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. I lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where will my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, creator of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot slip. Your guardian never slumbers. Behold, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord will be your protector. The Lord will give you shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you during the day, nor the moon at night. The Lord will keep you from all evil and preserve your soul. The Lord will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forever. The 23rd Psalm expresses our conviction that even when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we are never alone, that God is always with us and gives us support, strength, and courage equal to our needs. I know that many of you are familiar with the 23rd Psalm, and I invite you to join me in reciting it. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. At the end of the book of Proverbs in the Bible is a passage of praise for a good woman, which we know as Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. It expresses some of the virtues of a good woman's life, her love of family, her hopefulness with which she greets every new day, her constancy and devotion, her love of life, and the determination with which she lives it. So in Mindy's memory, we offer these words of praise. A woman of valorous character, where will we find her? She is worth more than any material possession. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he lacks nothing. She renders good and not evil all the days of her life. She opens her hand to those in need and extends her hand to those who are poor. She is robed in strength and dignity and confidently faces what each day brings. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She tends to the needs of her family and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children are first to call her blessed, saying, Many women have been valorous, but thou excellest them all. Charm may wane and beauty fade, but a woman of valorous character is much to be praised. Place before her the fruit of her hands. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. And we are blessed that those who loved Mindy the most are going to be offering their special remembrances of love and admiration for us today as we celebrate her life. The first speaker is going to be her son Kyle, and following Kyle is going to be her sister Bonnie, her brother Len, and then two nieces, Heather and Samantha. So Kyle, if you'd come up.
Hello, I am Kyle. I'll never live that down. You will not. For those of you who knew my mom, Mindy, you know that today we are gathered here to honor the life and mourn the loss of the type of person who does not come around very often. Some of my earliest memories of my mom's character date back just to when I was a little boy at Crescent Elementary School, just across the street from the house we grew up in. I think back to the times that she volunteered in our school library just to spend a little extra time with me, or when she would chaperone on the field trips that we went to, just for a little extra family time. Even the simple things that she did make memories that last. I remember she would pack me the same lunch for school every day, a peanut butter sandwich with a side of Pringles and a boxed apple juice. Those sandwiches were probably some of the best meals my mom ever prepared. My mom taught me to be a good person by leading through example. When life presented our family with challenges, she taught me how to rise above and play the cards we were dealt, no matter how bad our hand may have been. Jason and I's father, Bob, had some serious health issues, and my mom, without any hesitation, leaped right into action, dropped everything to stand by his side. She took on the role of caretaker of my father for over 15 years and never skipped a beat while raising Jason and I. In my mom's free time, Mindy was very creative. You could find her sewing new coats for our dogs, adjusting our clothes whenever I tore a hole in them or they were too long because she raised two very short boys. Or even just crocheting or knitting hats, scarves, or doodling on napkins. She loved to go to the movie theaters and load up with the most butter on her popcorn that I have ever seen. It was gross. She was one of the fastest binge watchers of TV that I have ever seen. Earlier this year, I was on the third episode of some new TV show and recommended it to her so we could watch together. I waited a day so she could catch up, and she was already complaining of the season 2 finale. And then she spoiled it for me. As many of you know, she was the queen of Scrabble. In fact, we played a game just last Wednesday, and I actually still lost. That board dates back to when she was dating my dad. They always played every game on that book and recorded every game in the same legal pad, dating back to the 80s. Those games are just some fond memories of the past. It took me years to catch up to her and nearly beat her. The few times I did, I may have cheated a little. Last but not least, you cannot forget her sense of style. One of her favorite pastimes was to shop for new clothes. In Voorhees, she would go to Miscellaneous, or she would go to Atlantic City just to go to Talk of the Walk. She filled her bedroom closet, which, by the way, is the size of my bedroom, with her elaborate outfits, ornate jewelry, and as you know, she loved her animal print. She wore what she wanted when she wanted. A few months ago, my mom admitted that she was scared to leave my brother and I alone. But I can say with confidence, she is not leaving us alone. She has left Jason and I with her kindness, her strength, and her values. The memories and legacies she has left behind turned that boy eating peanut butter sandwiches in elementary school into the man and other man standing before you today. Life might be very different for our family moving forward, but the impact my mom has left behind will transcend the rest of our lives. Thank you.
Bonnie?
Thank everyone for coming here today. It means a lot. Life as Mindy Goldsmith's little sister was anything but dull. Growing up, Mindy was my idol. We were inseparable, and Mindy took me everywhere she went. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Mindy took me to my first rock concert and got me hooked on music. Mindy would leave her albums out on the dining room table, and I would play them over and over again. I was hooked. Mindy used to sneak me into all of her favorite nightclubs. I was only 15. When I graduated from high school, Mindy was working at a law firm. Mindy ran the office of the great Alan L. Rothenberg. It didn't take long before I joined her there. I became Mindy's legal assistant. We had so much fun working in town together. Eventually, Mindy moved into Center City, and I moved there with her. I lived with Mindy off and on for years as we became the closest of friends. Eventually, I got married and started my family. I introduced Mindy to one of my closest friends, Bob. It was love at first sight. Mindy and Bob moved to Voorhees and soon went on to have two amazing children, Jason and Kyle. Mindy was such a wonderful mom and such a terrific aunt to my children, Jesse and Samantha. We were so blessed to live near our brother Lenny and his family. Very blessed to be able to raise our families together in such close proximity. We're certainly going to miss Mindy and her famous sweet kugel and jello molds, and birthdays will never be the same without those famous magic candles that she loved so much. Mindy was a really great person. So excited for my son and Jesse to get engaged to Megan, and so grateful that Mindy was able to meet her great nephew, my new grandson, Jack. Life is going to be different without Mindy here. I don't know what I'm going to do on the weekends this summer. Mindy was my tanning partner. Mindy, we weren't ready for you to leave, but you'll always be in our hearts, and we love you forever. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Len Goldsmith, Mindy's brother. And like me, I'm going to keep my remarks short. My oldest memory of my childhood involves my sister. When I was around 4 years old, she was standing up in her crib, bouncing up and down, and I wanted to climb in and play with her. My right hand grabbed the top rail, and as I began to hoist myself up, to my surprise, Mindy bit down on my hand, on the soft space between the thumb and the index finger, and I can still remember my scream. And I remember the smile that came across her face as I cried inconsolably. In the right light, you can still see that faint bite mark even to this day. In no uncertain terms, she was asserting herself in the manner of all Goldsmith women. She wasn't taking any crap. And we were kids, we bickered constantly. And although I was technically her big brother, it was Mindy who sat at the big table at the holidays from the time she was about 6 years old. And it was Mindy whose counsel our family sought when difficult decisions needed to be made. Mindy was a sleeper. She was quiet. She never said much. She was very confident and always thinking. In her high school days, Mindy was wild. I mean, she was frequently attracting the attention of some similarly minded young men, and it drove my father absolutely insane. Thankfully, that phase didn't last too long. She matured quickly, becoming a very solid student and a wonderful role model for her sister Bonnie. Following high school, she spent a year at my alma mater, St. Joseph's, where she excelled in the very same classes with the very same professors that I had struggled through. And although she was an excellent student, she found college to be mundane and unappealing, eagerly wanting to establish her independence. Mindy then happily began her career as an office manager in the law firm of Allen Rothenberg, where she met her future husband, Bob. After starting work, Mindy moved into a very fashionable center city apartment before it was cool to live in Philadelphia. She bought a hot sports car, she had a great group of friends, and a very active social life. In essence, she became a productive, self-supporting adult, pretty much my polar opposite. However, Mindy patiently took painstaking time to teach a socially awkward me to go to nightclubs, meet girls, dance, and generally have fun. We were not only brother and sister, but we were great friends. I cannot adequately convey how much I admired Mindy for how she bravely faced her terrible disease. She showed tremendous courage and persevered through many bad days, always being positive and fighting hard, and always with a beautiful smile. I will miss her more than words can describe. She will always be in my thoughts.
I want to start off by saying thank you for everyone who came here today. For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Sammy. I'm Mindy's youngest niece. Aunt Mindy was an extraordinary woman, well known for her animal print. If you look around the room, you'll see the cousins wearing animal print in her honor. But to be honest, none of us can pull it off the way she did. Aunt Mindy was a fashionista, always wearing beautiful jewelry and the newest fashion that she found at Finally or Mixcellaneous. Every time I called my mom, she was always out shopping at a boutique with Aunt Mindy. When I would come home to visit, I'd go to the Mix and I'd feel like royalty because they'd always ask me if I'm Mindy's niece. Growing up, I spent summers barbecuing at Aunt Mindy's pool with my brother Jesse, Uncle Bob, Aunt Mindy, Jason, Kyle, and my mom. Uncle Bob would be barbecuing, Jason and Kyle would be on their computers, and my mom and Aunt Mindy would be on floaties being the yentas that they are. I remember Aunt Mindy always having chicken nuggets in her purse because the boys would not eat anything else. Look how much they've changed. Jason went from not wanting to step foot on the beach or go in his beautiful pool to skydiving in Hawaii and hiking in Colorado. Kyle took those computer skills and now builds helicopters for a living. She did one heck of a job raising her boys. When I was younger, I never really appreciated her holiday presents. Every year we would have Hanukkah bowling. My cousins would get makeup, and I would get a very interesting sweater. One year, my cousins got a brand new Lancome makeup kit. My boyfriend at the time got a brand new set of beads, and I got this black sweater. This black sweater had giant gold buttons going down the sleeves. I never understood why I always got the sweater, but I knew every holiday, that's what I would get. It became a running joke between my mom and I. Aunt Mindy may have been a fashionista, but she didn't always translate to the teenage girl. I would love to have one of those sweaters right now. Besides being an animal print lover, fantastic mother, and a fashionista with an interesting taste in presents, Aunt Mindy was the most loyal, honest person you would ever meet. When it came to family, she stood by you like no other. Anytime my mother and I would get in a disagreement, Aunt Mindy was the first person I would call or go see. She always had my back and knew exactly what to say. I'm really going to miss having such an amazing person in my life. She was truly a one-of-a-kind aunt. I love you so much, and I'm really going to miss you, Aunt Mindy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather, and I am Mindy's eldest niece. And I just have to say that it's such a comfort to see so many of you here today. This room shows that even though her life was not as long as it really should have been, she made the most out of the time that she was given. So thank you for being here to honor her and for supporting this family. We were very lucky to have such a close family growing up. And I don't just mean in spirit. We literally were on the same street. Growing up, I more often found myself raiding their snack cabinet than my own. Sorry, Mom and Dad, they had better snacks. After school, I would hop on my bike and I would pedal the 10th of a mile down the street to their house. I didn't knock. I didn't call ahead. I went right through the garage door as if it were my home too, and they never made me feel like I had to act any differently. If you knew my aunt well enough to be here today, you knew she had style. Thanks to her, my Aunt B, and my mom, of course, I was the best dressed kid on either side of the Delaware. Aunt Mindy gave me my first real fur purse when I was 10. So clearly it's no accident that all of the cousins are in animal print. She would have absolutely loved it. She was a strong woman, stronger than most. Over the last year or so, even though I knew her treatments were kicking her butt, she would always give the same answer when I asked how she was doing. I'm fine. How's Mason, my son? This is a woman that clearly valued family. So much so that she delayed her own treatment so that she could be at my sister's wedding. Aunt Mindy may not have realized it, but she left her family stronger than we were a year ago. Her gift to us was the realization that family is something to cherish and never, ever take for granted. It's a constant, whether you like it or not, and something to draw strength from. And so we will.
These were really beautiful, beautiful tributes to Mindy's memory, and I want to thank Kyle and Bonnie and Len and Samantha and Heather. Thank you all for the courage to stand up in front of so many people and to be able to articulate how much you loved her and how much you admired her and all of the special qualities that made Mindy who she was. I know that Jason and Kyle, for the two of you, our hearts break especially. To be so young and to lose both your dad and your mom within a period of just a little over 2 years, it is really very hard to imagine for most of us. And so we just, our hearts go out to you, our hearts break for you, even as we know how much your mom and your dad gave to you in their lifetime. And we extend our sympathy to Len and Bonnie, her brother and sister, to nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews, and all the members of the family that loved her and that surround you all and that keep you all together and make you a family unit. I know that Mindy and Bob had a very special relationship from the time they first met. Bonnie introduced them, as you know, and my understanding was that he didn't have a job yet, that he had just graduated law school, and she was working for Ellen Rothenberg, and Bob begged her, get me a job. Can you get me a job? And he did. And then they repaid Ellen by starting their own firm, and he both married her and stole her away. So it was a wonderful come up and a wonderful circuit. But for Mindy and Bob, it was what they had to do to start their own firm and create their own life. And it is the love that they gave to Jason and to Kyle from the time that you guys were born, going back to the day that they were married in 1992, almost 30 years when Dad died, a little over 30 years when Dad died. It was, I know the last years of your father's life were not easy. And your mom stepped up, as Kyle said. She was caregiver. She was the rock that he always could depend on. She was his support. And I know that it was a heroic effort that made it possible for her to give your dad the highest quality of life that he possibly could have. So now, as we will rejoin them together again, we invoke the words of Scripture, that they were loving and devoted companions in life, and now in death are no longer separated. And then, of course, losing Bob at the end of 2022 wasn't, at the beginning of 2022 wasn't hard enough. Your mom was diagnosed in March of 23 with the disease that would ultimately take her life. It was a severe blow, but we are touched, as many of you have said, how she faced it with courage and resilience and determination, and that she would never let on how much pain she was in or how uncomfortable she was, but rather she would continue to give of herself to every member of the family. A number of years ago, I read a book by Walter Anderson, who was the editor of Parade magazine at the time, and in it he talks about how when his mother died, she left a sealed envelope for him. And on the cover of the envelope, it said to be opened upon my death. And when he opened it, he found a long letter, but part of it read this way: "Even when I am no longer here on earth, I live within you. I will always be a part of you. A mother's love never dies." So as we remember Mindy today, and particularly for Jason and Kyle, I know that you will never forget the love that your mother gave to you. You will never forget the selfless love that she showed in caring for your father. You will never forget her loyalty and her devotion to family. She was very proud of the two of you. And as heartbroken as you are to lose her, she was more heartbroken and more devastated to have left you. She wanted to see how you would turn out, sort of like those TV shows that she binged quickly. She wanted to know what the end was. And I know she wanted to know how you would turn out and how your lives would unfold. But at the same time, I know she was confident in you both. Confident that you're well-grounded, that she taught you well, and that you would make your way in a way that would make her proud. So we know that the love that she had for the two of you, the love that she had for her whole family, is something that never dies. You will feel it when you love each other as she loved you. You will feel it when you put family first, as she did. You'll feel it when you meet adversity with courage, as she did. And you will feel that love coming from within your heart and surrounding you every time you picture her in your mind and you thank God that she was part of your life. Tehi nishmata tzurura b'tzuror hachayim, may her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life, and let us say, Amen. Friends, if you are comfortable standing, I'll ask you to rise for the memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bameromim, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת מנצה בת מרדכי וחיה שהלכה לעולמה. בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה, אנא בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים. וצרור בצרור חיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Mindy Fisher, who has gone to her eternity. Lord of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the goodness and love, the courage and resilience that she demonstrated in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May the bond of love unite her family with her and with each other. The Lord is her portion. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Friends, please be seated. Following the service here in New Jersey, the interment is going to be at Shalom Memorial Park, which is in the Philadelphia area. I think it's actually located in Huntington Valley. But we're going out to a Shalom Memorial Park for the interment service afterward. Paul Bearer.